Tell us about what just happened when you texted me on a Saturday morning and I was like, oh, I always knew you had it in you, girl. Jocelyn Estrada, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're very welcome. It's great to be here.
It's so great to see your face. Guys, Jocelyn Estrada was one of my all-time favorite candidates I ever was blessed to meet. And I want her to share her really inspiring story of why she came to the idea of starting a business and the ups and downs she's had in her first solid year, which was mostly during a pandemic, and some very recent amazing news that she shared with me that led me to say, oh, we have to capture this on recording for my YouTube channel. So with that, Jocelyn, I will let you take the conversation from here and share with all of my viewers your journey from corporately employed W-2 to self-employed franchise owner.
In September of 2018, when I was laid off from Paramount, which was, a good thing, bad thing, when one door closes, another one opens. And I took some time off and I started taking seminars in terms of how to get another job, et cetera, et cetera. And I took a seminar about being your own boss. And I thought that was a seminar about self-help, about how I can take control of my own life. And I thought it was more of that kind of a seminar. I had no idea it was actually about franchising and about actually being my own boss. I mean, literally my own boss. So I was like, whoa, what? So it was intriguing. And that's where I met Kim and we started talking. And then from there, we discussed all my...
We instantly fell in love. Let's say that.
Well, that's true. That's true. What's not to love about Kimberly Daly? It's like, come on. It was super sweet. And, it was a fun interaction because I think, Kim, if I remember correctly, some of the questions that you were asking me really were helped me understand who I am and kind of it made me ask myself, gosh, what do I really want out of my life? What do I really what do I enjoy most? Is it really my hobbies or is it really a different kind of a passion? What drives me? What really drives me? And so
Okay, wait. On that note, hold on. Based on the business you're in now, do you wish you could go back and change your answers? From Paramount Pictures to a floor covering international?
You know what? People ask me that all the time. They're like, really? Flooring? Really flooring? And I'm like, I know, right? I would have thought, we looked at all different kinds of opportunities, right? And that's what I loved about the journey was it wasn't just different types of flooring. It wasn't just different types of home improvement. It was all different types of businesses, all different types of business models, from a subscription to all different types of opportunities, from the one that I'm in now to maybe a B2B to maybe, I think we talked about exercise, beauty, and home improvement, right? I think those are the categories.
It was the minivan that got you. Just admit it. It was the minivan. You love driving. You love rocking the minivan.
It was despite the minivan that I was like, what? The minivan? This is crazy. A minivan?
I remember getting an email from you or a text from you saying, really? A minivan? I'm like, yeah, Jess, you're going to look great in that minivan.
I know. I'm like, wow, me in a minivan. We name all of our cars, and so we named her Flora.
So guys, can you see why I love this woman?
So it's all You know what?
So
It's all
what were the characteristics of when you were looking at the business? What were the characteristics that most stood out to you about this brand? Because obviously we joke, but from working from a very sexy, you know, in the movie business to, and you were in the business side of that, to running a flooring company, you know, it's not really very obvious. But what were the characteristics that made you say, this could be the right opportunity for me?
I think one of the things that I was intrigued by the business was the business model. So I liked going out and meeting different people. I liked that aspect of it. I liked the price tag of it. You know, the consideration of quality over quantity per se. You know, like we could we could get the same amount of dollars in the bank with two jobs versus in a subscription model of a different type of job having to have 300 clients versus, you know, so it was all of the financials and just trying to
A higher
understand
ticket
it.
item?
Yep, a high ticket item. And so that's kind of where I started to that's where I started from. And then of course when I
What
met
about
the
low fixed cost? Not to interrupt you. What about low fixed costs and
yes,
not needing a, you know, not needing a big brick and mortar location or
like a
carrying
retail space,
inventory,
yes. Yes,
flexible schedule?
definitely all of those items kind of came into play for sure because the opportunity did not require a retail space. It, you know, like it only needed an office and a warehouse, if that. So there were other ways of getting around that if I needed to financially. So it gave me enough options that I was comfortable moving forward. So and and um, and you were a good matchmaker, right? So when I met the corporate folks from Flora Coverings International, I think that's kind of what sealed the deal there. So, and just knowing that you recommended them gave me comfort um, in knowing that, you know, that these were good people. And because, you know, you want to be a good person before you were a good business person, right? So it's kind of that. So just want to make sure that we're all good people first. And they were. You are. We all are. So it's all good. Right? So
Yeah,
that's kind of
because
how
when
that
you
happened.
invest in a franchise, your success, your happily ever after, as I like to say, is based on the caliber of the people that are leading the brand. So many people, when they think about owning a franchise, they turn to the idea of what do I know, or what am I passionate about, or what am I going to enjoy doing? But the reality is those things only take you so far. They certainly didn't keep doors open during a pandemic, did they? Or help adapt
Right.
and overcome big obstacles like we all faced in 2020, which was the first year you started your business.
Right.
But the leadership of a company does. And ultimately, that's my soapbox. You know, when you invest in a franchise, you are buying leadership. You're buying into people and their vision for how they're going to build a brand. And you're saying, hey, pick me. I want to be the one to take your brand back to my hometown and make something of it.
Right. Right. Nope, that's exactly true. That's exactly true. And you know, the power behind the brand is really fantastic in that when you find the right franchise to go with, it it all just starts to click for you, you know? So that's kind of all what happened. Sometimes it takes a while, boy. Let me tell you, it took a while. It took a while, but you know, in corporate America, I was working 100 hours a week. That's probably a slight exaggeration, but you know, I mean, I'm doing that similarly now, but now it's all for me. So it feels better. It's kind of worth it for me. So you know, that's just my work ethic. So I don't think I would
Yeah.
be happy if I wasn't. Crazy,
Right,
but
right.
that's all.
Now, during your due diligence process, I remember that your husband was very supportive of you, but I remember your father, I'm a daddy's girl too. So I remember that your dad was a little bit worried about what you were about to do. Talk a little bit about that. And was he right, or have you proven him wrong for once in your life? Because dads usually are right, by the way.
Dad's all right. And like, listen, um, you know, I believe that that there were several correct choices for me in life. You just have to make a choice. And once you make a choice, then you work to make it work, kind of. So was my father wrong? My father was just concerned because he's a CPA. He's always worked for a company, and he just would have preferred that I didn't take this risk all by myself. You know, especially with an industry that I knew a little bit of, but not certainly not what everybody was surprised. Flooring, why flooring? But um, but he understood that the business basics from Paramount apply. It's all business basics. So whatever I knew in marketing and project management, etc., that I brought from Paramount or that I gained from Paramount, completely applicable now in this world, where instead of, and he saw that, he still would prefer that I was employed somewhere, right? Because then he just doesn't have to worry about his baby girl. But I think now he feels comfortable that I have a path, and that my path has a future, and my path isn't through like a dead end. It's a long, infinite, like path to wherever I choose. So
Wherever you want it to go.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so that's where I think it's kind of exciting, because I've never done this. It does give me anxiety from time to time, because I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? But then the next day I was like, oh my God, what have I done? You're just all excited. And it's like, it's just amazing. Like the ebbs and flows.
Welcome to owning a business.
I know.
That was so perfectly said.
It's so true, right? It's so true. So it's like, oh my God. But it's a roller coaster, but it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. I'll have to say, one of the, about this particular business, I've really enjoyed meeting folks. I've really enjoyed going out, meeting folks, helping them out, and getting to know them and getting to know how to help them. It's been fun. It's been that part I have always enjoyed. So it's all good. I'm a people person.
Tell us about this recent exciting news. So we'll get back to the pandemic a little bit and adaptations, but tell us about what just happened when you texted me on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, and I was like, oh, I always knew you had it in you, girl.
Yes. Well, it was a regular day, and you get leads. I was going out on an appointment, which I thought was for a small little guitar shop. And when I got there, it wasn't for a little guitar shop. It was for a very big guitar shop. And one thing led to another, and I started this journey. Literally, I started this journey with a corporate account in August of last year. So it was during the pandemic. And ironically, it was because of the pandemic that they saw a window of opportunity to do the flooring then, while all the employees are working from home. So there was an opportunity to actually redo all the floors in this ginormous corporate building. And I took what I knew, and I tapped the shoulder of the franchisor, and I asked for some help and some guidance, and together we kind of built up a proposal, and we landed it. And so we landed the job. It's $250,000 worth of business that we landed in the beginning of the year. And and so now we're in the process of actually doing it. So now we're installing. I think we kicked off last week. So and so it'll be a 6-week process, and it was really exciting to get that yes.
During the pandemic, which was your, the first real full year of your business since you started in 2019, give the viewers some of the ups and downs. And I mean, obviously this big deal started back then. So good things did come out of the pandemic for many business owners. Sadly, for others, not so. But you happen to be in a business that worked very well during a pandemic. But how did you adapt what you do, or did you have to adapt in order to continue to grow your business during 2020?
Well, there were a couple of weeks where we didn't know if we were able to stay open, right? So there was that. But once it was determined that construction was an essential business, then we remained open, and just like everybody else, masks, gloves, booties. I mean, we walked in as if we were hazmat, and we were just all, we were just covered from like head to toe. And we went in and, we took extra precautions. We took extra sanitizing wipes, etc. So everything was all, we all had to do that. And that took some time to kind of get the process down. But after that, it was just a matter of it was interesting because people were home and people were like, you know what, now that we're home, I think I want to get my floors done. I see I need my new floors done. And so that was kind of the opportunity, and we didn't let up, and, we just stayed open and we accommodated as many folks as we could, and we kind of stayed afloat. So I'm pleased to say that we actually did better during some months in the pandemic as we did the previous year when there were no, when there was no pandemic. So, we just stayed the course. And I think part of that also is just the leadership at the corporate office. They were always helpful in terms of trying to make sure that we were pushing forward and doing everything correctly. They kept us updated in terms of what the trends look like, etc. And when do we think this, and it was very helpful, and we all stayed together as a community. And that is one of the things that you told me was you opened the business by yourself, but you're never alone. That's what it felt like during this pandemic, where you were with other franchise owners in the same situation as you. And so though you do own your own business and you really make all the decisions yourself, you have so many folks that you can tap into and get resources from, and guidance and knowledge. So it was all good. Yeah, so that was a fantastic experience. Yeah,
that's a great thing. In franchising, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Correct.
And you really felt that in real life during the pandemic. That's amazing testimony to your corporate engine behind you.
Yes. Yeah. And not to mention all the group Zoom, who knew we could have a party on Zoom? Who knew that?
Right. Who knew we could do any of the things we're doing on Zoom? It's so great. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, Jocelyn, I am so excited to bring you into my YouTube channel and just share your you, because you are amazing. You are a multi-million-dollar flooring girl in Kim Daly's mind. And that's why I just had to ask you to come share your testimony. I am so excited for you with this first big deal. I know for fact that is the first of many. There's going to be a day when you call me and you're doing 7 figures per quarter. I don't know when it's going to happen. Only you can determine that. But girl, I know it's going to happen for you because you're amazing. And your dad is going to be smiling from ear to ear going, you should have done this 5 years sooner than you did.
That's right.
High five. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate you so much. And God bless you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to you real soon.
Sweetheart. All right.